Hi, class. This is your week 26, day 4, math corrections. So do it first and then check here to correct your work with me. The first two problems I'm going to need to solve behind me on the chart paper, and the other ones we'll just do on the screen. So the first problem today is 960 divided by 8. Divided by 8. Yesterday, or I guess the other day, one of my first math correction videos, I showed you guys the Big 7 division strategy. So today I think what I'll do is quickly solve this with the deal out strategy, which is what we've used before. And then I'll remodel how to use the Big 7 strategy to do it maybe a little more efficiently, or maybe a way that you like more. So tune into the chart in the back real quick, and we'll try this problem out there. Okay, let's see. Okay, so first problem was 960 divided by 8. What is it? 960, yeah. 960 divided by 8. It's not very... Let's see if I can make a pen that works better here. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, you guys. So the deal out strategy this year had us do groups. So if we were dealing out the 8, we would make 8 groups. So it's a pretty basic strategy, but it works, right? So if we have 960 to deal out and we have 8 groups, the first step would be to deal out 100 because you have enough to do 100 for everybody. And so I put 100 in there, and then I like to circle my groups so I can keep the numbers that I keep putting in here separately from each other. Okay, so 100 for everybody. And if I passed out 100 into 8 groups, that's how much? 100 times 8. How much is that? That's 800, right? 100 times 8. Okay, so there's 800 passed out. I had 960, and I've passed out 800. Just a little math to see what I have left. I have 160 left to divide by 8. Now, some of you guys might be ready to see that if we have 160 divided by 8, we know we could work backwards with multiplication. Something times 8 that equals 160. And I can see a magic 0 happening there, a multiple of 10. Something times 8 that equals 16. 2 times 8 equals 16. So 8 times 20 then would get us to 160. So real quickly with that last 160, I knew I could do 20 for every group. And that dealt out all the rest of my 160. I'm left with nothing. No remainder. So, as you guys remember, when we're finished passing stuff out, our answer would be to count up how much one of these groups got. So like in every one of these groups, I see 120. So when I take 960 and divide it by 8, I end up with 120 in every group. And that's our answer, 120. Okay. Real quick, the Big 7 version of this would be a little simpler than it was the other day. We have 960, and we're dividing by 8. So Big 7 says we go like this first. Oh, got a little glare on my screen, you guys. I'm sorry about that. Now we made it into the Big 7. We drew that big line. So we ask ourselves then, how many groups of 8 can I pass out? I can pass out 100 groups of 8, and that took 800. Left with 160, and then we saw it took another 20 groups of 8 to use up the rest of the 160. Nothing is left to deal out into groups of 8. I've dealt out 100 groups of 8 plus another 20 groups of 8, 120 altogether. Okay, so let me take a second to erase my board, and we will give a shot on the other problem. The other problem today was a 4-digit number multiplied by a 1-digit number. So easiest steps for this, again, I think is probably our partial products area model that we've practiced so much this year. So that's what I'm going to draw. Big old rectangle. One dimension is 5. And then I have my 1,510. And that needs to get partitioned into its parts. So 1,500. We have 110. And we don't have any ones, so we don't need to add a section with no ones. We don't need to add a 0 up here. 1,510 becomes 1,510. Okay? Draw our lines here to separate each of these into its parts. Now we have a 3-part partial products area model. We're going to solve our first one. It is a dimension of 5 times 1,000. 5,000. 5 times 500. I see magic 0, right? Magic 0. 5 times 5 is 25. We need to make it 100 times larger. So take account of those 2 zeros up there. 25 made 100 times larger becomes 2,500. And last we have 5 times 10 is 50. When we put all those pieces together, 5,000 plus 2,000 is 7,000. Plus 500 makes 7,500. Plus 50 makes 7,550. So, quite a large answer there, but there you go. 7,550 is our final answer for that one. Okay, the rest of the problems on here will happen just on the screen, so you guys can tune in with me there. Number 3, it says match the angles with their names. So I see we've got some choices here: right angles, acute angles, and obtuse. The first one I identified is the one that I hope everybody can see quickly and easily, no problem. Right angles. Right angles are those really nice, easy to see. We find them all over the place, right? So I drew a little box there to show that that is our right angle measurement. Remember, 2 lines that are intersecting in perpendicular fashion. So it's like a plus sign or an intersection of a highway or something like that, right? Perfectly, one line going the opposite of the other makes that little box. We've called that a right angle. And we remember right angles are only 90 degrees, only. Very special angle measurement, only 90 degrees. So we connect that one to our right angle. Okay, next, I think I looked at this next one up here. What kind of angle is that? I've drawn the little arc. I can see that it's greater than a 90-degree angle. I always kind of compare where would 90 be. Is this greater or less than? This one's greater than 90. And the angles that are greater than 90 degrees are obtuse angles. You guys remember? Obtuse. Okay. And finally, we have acute angles. Acute angles are the ones that are less than 90 degrees, less than 90. And we're going to connect it like that, acute angle. Okay. Number 4, we need to write 5,708 and 800ths in expanded form. Okay, expanded form. Just like we've been doing with the partial products area model, right? I did expanded form for 1,510 right up there. Okay, so we have 5,000 first. And I'm going to cross out the amount that I've used up here. I've used the 5,000. I crossed that part of the number out. Plus 700. Cross out 700. And then we have 8 and 800ths. So here's our 8 ones. Cross that out. And then we have and 800ths. Guys, remember, if we were thinking of this number in number form, and would be like your decimal point. Decimal point for and then you have 800ths. So if I need to show that decimal point in 800ths, it looks like this. Plus 0.08, right? There's 800ths. We need that decimal point there to show that this is in the hundredths and the tenths side. We don't have any tenths. We have 800ths. So plus 0.08. 0.08, 800ths. Okay, so there's our expanded form for that number. Number 5 has us, it says, in how many different ways can Leo, Jesse, and Francesca line up to buy their tickets at the movies? And this took a little bit of thinking for me. So first of all, how many different ways can they line up? And I'm counting 1, 2, 3 friends. 3 friends. So I kind of thought of this like a pattern, like an ABC pattern. Each of those students got, or each of those friends got assigned a letter. So we have like Leo, there he is, he's A. And Jesse is B. and Francesca's C. So right there, I've made a little like single file line with the three friends, A, B, C order. Okay, so that's one way they could line up. Now, if I wanted to be really systematic, what I thought next is, what if I had person A go to the end of the line and everybody else just scoots up one? It's a different way to line up, right? So person A went to the end of the line. Oh, I did it the other way around. I had the end of the line come to the front of the line and everybody else scoots down. So person C comes up to the front of the line, and then A is after them and B is after them. So the rest of the pattern stayed the same. B follows A, right? What's going to come next? B is going to be the front of the line. And then we're going to have C and A. Okay, so at first I thought, that's it. That's all my ways. But then I thought a little deeper before I finished up. I just kind of checked my answer. I thought about it. And I thought, wait a minute. I think there might be some other ways, because if I had person A at the front of the line still, I could have also had them line up behind person A with person C and then person B, right? I could have switched person B and C around, and that would have been a different order as well. So keeping that in mind, I could have another way to have person A as the line leader with A and then C and B. Do you guys see how that one's different in order than A, B, C is, right? So that's another way to order it. Once I realized I could do that with A, that means I can do that with person C in the front and with person B in the front. So there's a second person C way. Can you guess what it is? If we already had person C and then A and B, what's the other order? C, B, and A. And then we have also one more with our person B in the front. We can do B, A, C instead of C, A. Okay, now I thought deeper after that, is that all of them? And I could not think of any others. So I went with 6 different ways for the three friends to line up. Maybe you found another. If you did, please do let me know. All right, so you guys, thank you for your work with your assignments. That is week 26, day 4, all finished up. So I hope you guys keep practicing. Really miss y'all. See you soon. Bye-bye.